What's going on, guys? So, I don't know if you can tell, I have better lighting now. My girlfriend got me camera lighting, which I haven't had. I've been using this LED panel that attaches to my camera, which is actually right here. But this is better, I think. I like this. It was kind of expensive, so I thank her for that. So now with my decent camera and lighting, better video. But that's not what we're talking about. We're going to talk about card count in the game. Why? Because it's all, I remember a week or two ago, might have been even shorter than that, Vexcus, which we all know who Vexcus is. He topped, man, I can't tell you what deck it was because I forget now. Did not really prepare for this video. I kind of thought of it and turned on the camera. But he topped, I think he was top 30, and he got, or top 32 and he got 30. Don't quote me. Don't quote me. But he topped with a 42 card deck, or 43 card deck, was one or the other. And people were like, how the heck did he do it? Like, what? A 42 or 43 card deck? Everybody plays 40. And now, don't get me wrong, there's been decks that have topped before with more than that. I think there was a year, about 2 years back, I think it was a 50 card Fire Fist deck that topped. Once again, don't quote me. That just sounds familiar. But people are wondering why, because most, I'd say 85% of Yu-Gi-Oh players run a strict 40 card deck and will refuse to go higher than that. And I'm here to talk about, does it really matter to a degree if you're a few cards over? Now, obviously, people are going to argue it cuts down consistency when there's not as many cards in a deck, which that's just simple math, no duh. But if you have a good enough deck and those cards are needed, then I don't see how it really hinders the deck if it's needed cards. Now, if somebody's a first-time player, they're new to the game, they might have unnecessary cards and have like a 45 card deck because they're like, oh, I really want to play this card, but I don't want to take it out, and then they put it in, but it really just clogs their deck. There's a difference between needed cards and cards that can work with it, but you don't need, and that are just going to clog. So, not having a 42 or 45 card deck doesn't necessarily mean your deck is cloggy or is going to be clogged. So, for an example, which is a bad example because people play this deck with many cards, but I've stated this in every video, I'm a very heavily Lightsorn Chaos person. Before, I was like battling Boxers and my like Fiend decks and Dark Worlds, but like my favorite deck for the past like year and a half is my Chaos Dragon Ruler, or not Rulers, Chaos Dragon Lightsworn. With that, I play a 42 card deck, which people are going to be like, oh, that's not a big deal. Sometimes Lightsworn players play 50 cards, which I don't think that ever does really work, but that's just me. But with the 42 cards, I had my layout deck, but I kept running into the problem that I couldn't draw into monsters that just milled for me. I didn't like having to wait till my end turn to mill. I need sometimes a first turn mill, or not necessarily first turn, but I can summon and mill, not have to wait. Now there is Raiden for that in Lightsworns, which lets you mill 2, and then at the end phase he mills 2. But I needed more than that. So I was playing Card Trooper. Some people play Card Trooper by default, but I didn't really have room to take out anything for Card Trooper. My deck was pretty solid. But adding 2 Card Trooper did not really ruin my consistency. In fact, I think it has kind of helped it. Yes, I have 2 more cards in my deck, but with Card Trooper, I can mill off 3, and I always do mill off 3. And then if it gets destroyed by battle, which 99% of the time that is how he gets destroyed, I get to draw a card which helps things out my deck. So he kind of makes himself evened out, to a degree. Because after you mill off 3 cards, if you use him, you get to use him to draw. Now, people will say, well, if you mill him, you could have milled a Lightsworn or some other necessary monster like Eclipse Wyvern instead, which I do see your point, because you could have. But in all, I'd rather its trade-offs of being able to summon and get that 3 mill, or maybe get destroyed and let me draw a card, takes off that I might mill 1 more card that I didn't want to mill. It's never become a big deal, and I've played the deck a lot, and it just never becomes a big deal for me. So, that essence, to a degree, could be applied to other decks, that this card might have a purpose that justifies having an extra card or so in my deck. Through my eyes. I haven't seen that much of a problem with it. I would definitely never play over 45 cards in a deck, unless if it really flows together like that 50 card, I think it was Fire Fist. It could have been Fire King's, but I'm like 100% sure it's Fire Fist. And if it really flows together, then it flows together. But wouldn't play over 45. But anyways, for my video, for the end conclusion is, playing a couple more cards over a 40 card deck is not a big deal. You can do it. If it flows together, but the reason why it has the stigma that you should start to play only 40 cards is because there are the people that are like, well, this card only works like once in like 1,000 duels, but I'm still gonna play it, and then it's no different than playing cards in your deck that just don't work. It's just people put more cards in their deck because they think they need them, and then they don't, and then it's just really cloggy. It's different than cards that you actually need. But that is just my thoughts. Tell me your thoughts down below. Is 40 cards the only way to play Yu-Gi-Oh, or does it really matter if you have a few extra cards, and does it really ruin consistency that much where it's game-breaking? Let me know. Gosh, I like this lighting.
Damn. Yeah.